Aaron's head throbbed. His lungs screamed for air. He was vaguely aware of a searing pain in his chest. A dull roaring filled his ears. His vision swam with black spots. He struggled to remember. He saw a faint glow, a distant beacon in the overwhelming darkness. Then everything went black. The Yucatan Peninsula shimmered under the Mexican sun. Aaron and Marcus, clad in their diving gear, double-checked their equipment. Excitement thrummed through them. They were about to explore an uncharted cave system, a hidden world beneath the surface. The air crackled with anticipation. Marcus slapped Aaron on the back. "Ready for this, buddy?" he shouted, his voice muffled by his regulator. Aaron grinned. This was their dream. They had spent months planning this expedition. This dive was the culmination of their shared passion. They plunged into the cool, welcoming water, feeling the rush of excitement and anticipation. The surface shimmered above them, a barrier between the known world and the mysteries that lay beneath. As they descended, the water embraced them, a silent promise of the wonders to come. Sunlight dappled the entrance of the cave, painting dancing patterns on the limestone walls. The rays of light filtered through the water, creating an almost magical atmosphere. It was as if the cave was alive, breathing with the rhythm of the ocean. The divers paused for a moment, mesmerized by the beauty of the scene. Schools of fish darted in and out of the shadows, their movements synchronized in a graceful ballet. The fish seemed to be guiding the divers, leading them deeper into the cave. Each flick of a fin, each turn, was a silent invitation to explore further. The water was so clear that it felt like they were floating in a dream. The deeper they descended, the more alien the landscape became. Strange rock formations jutted out from the cave walls, their shapes twisted and otherworldly. It was a landscape that seemed to defy the laws of nature, a place where the ordinary rules did not apply. The divers felt like they were on another planet, exploring a world that few had ever seen. Stalactites hung like teeth from the ceiling, their ghostly forms reflected in the crystal-clear water. These natural formations had taken thousands of years to form, each drop of water adding to their eerie beauty. The divers marveled at the sight, knowing that they were witnessing a piece of history frozen in time. The reflections created an illusion of an endless forest of stone. The silence was absolute, broken only by the hiss of their regulators. It was a silence that spoke volumes, a reminder of the isolation and tranquility of the underwater world. Every breath was a connection to the surface, a lifeline in the vast, silent expanse. The divers communicated with hand signals, their movements slow and deliberate, respecting the serenity of the cave. It was a world of ethereal beauty, a hidden treasure trove. The cave held secrets that had been untouched for centuries, a sanctuary for the creatures that called it home. The divers felt privileged to be there, to witness the untouched splendor of the underwater realm. Every corner they turned revealed a new wonder, a new piece of the puzzle that was the cave. They were explorers in a forgotten realm, adventurers in a world that time had left behind. The cave was a testament to the power and beauty of nature, a reminder of the mysteries that still lay hidden beneath the surface. As they continued their journey, the divers knew that they were part of something special, a journey into the blue abyss that they would never forget. They rounded a bend, their headlamps cutting through the darkness. Then disaster struck. Marcus, his fins brushing against the sandy bottom, inadvertently created a silt cloud. The water, once crystalline, turned instantly into a blinding wall of sediment. Panic flared. Visibility was reduced to zero. Aaron couldn't see his hand in front of his face. He reached out blindly, trying to find Marcus. His heart pounded against his ribs. Where was he? They had to stick together. Section 5. Lost in the labyrinth. They swam blindly, their movements frantic and disoriented. Fear tightened its grip. The cave, once beautiful, now felt like a suffocating trap. Time seemed to distort, stretching into an eternity of darkness and terror. Aaron's heart sank. They hadn't secured a guide rope to the entrance. It was a rookie mistake, a lapse in judgment they couldn't afford. They were lost, alone in a maze of underwater tunnels, their air supply dwindling with each passing second. Section 6. A fatal error. The realization hit Aaron like a physical blow. They were going to die down here. The thought sent a surge of primal fear through him. He thought of his family, his friends, the life he had above the surface. He wasn't ready to die. His hand brushed against something solid. It was Marcus. Relief flooded through him, but it was short-lived. Marcus was limp, unresponsive. His air tank was almost empty. He had lost consciousness. Section 7. The impossible choice. The brutal reality of the situation slammed into Aaron. He couldn't save them both. His air wouldn't last. He had to make a choice. Stay with Marcus and face certain death, or try to escape and live with the guilt. His chest constricted. He looked at his friend, his diving buddy, the one person who shared his love for this alien world. He couldn't leave him, but a primal instinct, the will to survive, raged within him. Section 8. Ascent into oblivion. His rational mind screamed at him. There was no choice. The darkness of the cave seemed to close in around him, an oppressive weight that threatened to crush his spirit. Every fiber of his being wanted to turn back, to find another way, but he knew deep down that there was no other option. The cave was a labyrinth, a maze of twisting passages and dead ends, and he had to navigate it alone. He had to leave Marcus. The thought tore at his heart, but he knew it was the only way. Marcus had been his partner, his friend, and leaving him behind felt like a betrayal. But Marcus was gone, and there was nothing he could do to change that. He had to focus on surviving, on making it out of the cave alive. The memory of Marcus's last moments haunted him, a constant reminder of the stakes. It was the only way he could honor his memory. He had to survive, to tell their story, to make sure that Marcus's sacrifice wasn't in vain. The determination in his eyes was a reflection of the promise he had made to himself. He would not let Marcus's death be meaningless. Every stroke, every kick was a testament to his resolve. He would make it out, no matter the cost. He kicked off the cave floor, his ascent fueled by desperation and a growing sense of dread. The cave seemed to stretch on forever, an endless tunnel with no end in sight. His muscles ached, his body screamed for rest, but he couldn't stop. Not now, not when he was so close. The surface was his only goal, the only thing that mattered. He had to keep moving, had to keep pushing forward. His lungs burned, starved for oxygen, his vision blurred. The lack of air was a constant reminder of his mortality, a ticking clock that he couldn't ignore. Every breath was a struggle, every moment a battle against the suffocating darkness. He could feel his strength waning, his body beginning to shut down, but he couldn't give up, not now, not when he was so close. The pressure squeezed his skull like a vice. The deeper he went, the more intense the pain became. It was as if the cave itself was trying to crush him, to keep him from escaping. But he wouldn't let it. He had to keep going, had to push through the pain. The surface was his only hope, the only thing that could save him. He had to reach it no matter what. He pushed himself harder, his body screaming in protest. Every muscle was on fire, every joint ached, but he couldn't stop. Not now. Not when he was so close. The surface was just out of reach, a distant glimmer of hope in the darkness. He had to keep moving, had to keep pushing forward. The thought of Marcus, of his sacrifice, was the only thing that kept him going. The surface, a distant glimmer of hope, was all that mattered. It was the light at the end of the tunnel, the promise of safety and freedom. He could see it now, a faint glow in the darkness. It was so close, yet so far. He had to reach it, had to make it out, for Marcus, for himself, for the promise of a new beginning. The ascent into oblivion was almost over and the surface was within reach. Section 9, a diver's grave. He broke through the surface with a gasp, his body racked with pain. He had made it. The journey had been long and arduous, testing the very limits of his endurance and willpower. Each stroke through the water had felt like a battle against an invisible force, pushing him to the brink of collapse. But now, as he emerged from the depths, the reality of his survival began to sink in. The cold air filled his lungs, a stark contrast to the suffocating pressure of the deep. He had escaped the clutches of the abyss, but at what cost? But his victory was hollow, overshadowed by the crushing weight of his decision. The ocean, once a place of wonder and discovery, had become a graveyard of memories. Each dive had been a step into the unknown, a dance with danger that had thrilled him to his core. But now the thrill was gone, replaced by a haunting emptiness. The faces of those he had lost haunted him, their voices echoing in the silence of the deep. He had chosen to dive, to explore the uncharted, but in doing so he had lost more than he could ever have imagined. He was pulled onto the rescue boat, his body limp, his eyes vacant. They never found Marcus. The search had been exhaustive, every inch of the ocean floor combed for any sign of his friend. But the sea had claimed him, swallowed him whole, leaving nothing but a void. The rescue team had done all they could, their faces etched with the same despair that gripped his heart. As he lay on the deck, the reality of his loss began to sink in. Marcus was gone, and with him a part of Aaron's soul. The bond they had shared, forged in the depths of the ocean, was now a painful memory. Aaron lived, but a part of him remained forever trapped in that watery tomb, a chilling reminder of the abyss that had claimed his friend and a piece of his soul. The underwater cave, once a place of mystery and excitement, now loomed like a dark spectre in his mind. He could still see the entrance, the eerie lighting casting long shadows that seemed to reach out and pull him back. Every dive was a journey into his own personal hell, a confrontation with the demons that lurked in the depths. He had survived, but he was not whole. The ocean had taken its toll, leaving him a broken man. The ocean, once a source of joy and adventure, was now a symbol of his loss and his ultimate sacrifice. He would stand on the shore, looking out at the vast expanse of water, and feel a pang of sorrow. The waves that lapped at his feet were a constant reminder of what he had lost. The ocean floor, once a playground of discovery, was now a graveyard of memories. Each dive was a painful reminder of the friends he had lost, the dreams that had been shattered. But despite the pain, he could not stay away. The ocean called to him, a siren song that he could not resist. It was a part of him, as much as the air he breathed. And so he would dive again, not for the thrill, but to honor the memories of those who had been lost to the deep.